So thanks for joining me today, Ben. Pleasure to have you.
Great to be here, Alex. Thanks for the invite.
Oh, no problem at all. So this is part of our series on AI adoption within the built environment. Obviously, having you on board, Ben, is really great to get your input, given your area of specialisation, and actually it would be great for you to maybe just give us a quick intro to Bidwells and also your role specifically within the organisation as a way to kick off.
Absolutely. Okay, so Bidwells we're a multidisciplinary real estate advisor, we're a professional services business. Been around a long time, more than 185 years. Started in Cambridge. We now cover kind of the Golden Triangle, the Oxford-Cambridge Arc, Oxford, Cambridge, Milton Keynes, London, and we also have a Scottish business too, where we're really strong in renewable energy. We're working around, the development of the natural capital market, which we think is really interesting. And we really specialise in three main areas: science and technology, sustainability, operational living, and as I say, up in Scotland, renewable energy. And so we think we're involved with some of the most sort of exciting growth markets in the UK, some of the sort of, the future economy, so to speak. So although we've been around a long time, we've been very forward looking for the last 10 or 15 years. I've been at Bidwells for about 8 now. So we're aiming to double the size of our business in the next 7 years, 5 years now, by 2030. So we've got a really ambitious growth strategy. And I've been in the business, as I said, for 8 years, but the last year I've been our head of data and AI. So we really see both the better use of data and the use of generative AI, particularly, as a real driver of growth for the business. So it's a really exciting role. The business is really kind of moving quickly. So it's, it's my dream job, Alex, if I'm honest.
Fantastic. Well, look, I mean, as I say, perfect for this, for coming on this webinar interview series with me. So again, thanks for joining. But that's great. I mean, it'd be really interesting to understand from you, given your day-to-day duties and responsibilities, what opportunities you see for AI, maybe within the professional services field specifically.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot going on in the professional services world, not just real estate. I mean, accountancy, law, all of these sectors have, perhaps been touched more quickly actually by the technology than others. I mean, I come from a communications background. I was a journalist for many years, and then I went into political relations, media relations, and then I was heading up comms at Bidwells before I took on this role. So marketing and comms was another area which is really impacted quickly by this new technology, this new wondrous technology that we all blew us away when ChatGPT came out. But I was actually using a marketing tool called Jarvis, beginning of 2022, and I didn't know it at the time, but I was using ChatGPT 2.5. So it's a writing assistant that helped us to generate marketing copy. Now, when I started talking about it to others in the marketing team, people thought that we were cheating. They were kind of, we shouldn't really be using this technology. Isn't this cheating? We shouldn't really be doing this. So we were experimenting, but we weren't really kind of adopting it. And there was and then that's really what got me started in looking at how is this going to apply to our business. So
Sorry, when was this, Ben?
This was sort of late 21, early 22. So in AI years, a long time ago now, but I'm the kind of person who's always on the lookout for new technology. So it wasn't the first time that I went to my director and said, look, this amazing technology is going to have a big impact. But this time, I think I was right, because when ChatGPT came along, I'd already given a couple of presentations to our board and said, look, this is, really low cost technology. It's going to have a big impact. This is how I think it can really help us. And at the time they were kind of, well, yeah, that's still a long way away though, isn't it, Ben? But actually it all happened really quickly, didn't it? So when ChatGPT came out, they were all kind of like, this is what you've been talking about, isn't it? And they gave, our team at the time kind of a lot of freedom, I guess, and support to go and experiment. So we stole a bit of a march, I think, in that sense. But then it's gone like a kind of wildfire across all the other departments in our business and all sectors, and we've all been talking about it for the last 2 or 3 years. And I don't want to repeat a lot of the things that your listeners might have heard really about how much it's going to dramatically change the way we do business, how the knowledge economy is going to be turned upside down, how our service model is going to need to change completely, our business model. I don't want to repeat all that, but I do think there's a lot of truth in it. I think that this technology is, I remember social media, I remember the internet, sadly, arriving, and social media coming after that and the impact that had. Well, that took a while, actually. you'll remember it too, Alex, probably, won't you? It actually
Oh,
took quite
definitely.
a while to kind of change the way we communicated, and the Arab Spring changed politics. But I just think this is happening much more quickly, isn't it?
It does seem to be happening really rapidly. I mean, I'm even looking at like strategic plans I've been working on, a year ago, and some of the things I was looking at, and now I look back at it and go, no, ChatGPT will be doing, do that element, and we'll do this, and I've used ChatGPT to help plan it out and all that sort of stuff. So, it's in the space of 12 months how impactful that's been. But, I'm particularly very interested in how, especially as you were seeing it very early there, Ben, where are those opportunities? How will the business model change, do you think? What are the big, I mean, you also mentioned, we're not really, it take a bit of time to really fully embed. I think there is an element of we're getting it to do a load of stuff that we already do, doing it the way we do it almost. How are we going to then you go, well, actually, we do it totally differently. Let's rip that up, because actually we've got different capabilities now, and we need to create that process utilizing its strengths. But yeah, where are the opportunities you see? And don't worry about repeating yourself or repeating what others may have said. I'd be very interested to see it from your
I mean, they're everywhere. There's opportunities everywhere. The challenge is knowing which ones to go for, right? And I think there's a lot of kind of analysis paralysis, people thinking about
totally.
what, let's not go too far too quick, because we might invest and that investment then becomes kind of not redundant, but perhaps the wrong type of investment. And I think that, the big organizations, they all had to invest pretty heavily up front, and they partnered with ChatGPT, or they rolled out Copilot across the business. They gave everyone, ChatGPT enterprise licensing. That's probably not a bad thing to do, but it's significant investment. It wasn't something that we were going to do. We're kind of a 50, 60, 70 turnover business. We want to double in size, but investing in Copilot was not the right thing for us to do. But I think what the approach we're taking is to think about it at three levels. So you've got the kind of the individual adoption, which everyone's going at a slightly different pace. There's people like me and you, it sound like, using it every day and kind of thinking about, okay, how can I just do my work more quickly or better, or in a different way? What can I do that's new? I think you were kind of coming to that point a minute ago. We can do things the way we already do them more quickly, but actually the real opportunity is in what can we do that we couldn't do before. But I think individual adoption is actually easier. I think if you're motivated and you're curious and you can see what's going on, then there's a lot of motivation there. It's gonna help you do more. And I think, if you've got a lot of agency over that, people can do that at whatever speed they want, really. I think at a team level, that's when it gets harder. When you're trying to, adopt and standardize things on a team basis, then that's more challenging. But that to me is about prompt engineering, prompt libraries, standardization, sharing what works. So we had this culture in the comms and marketing team. Let's share what works. If you work out how to do something over here that's working really well, you can create some content, or you can repurpose something, or you can write something, or you can generate something. Don't keep it to yourself. Share it with everyone else, so they can.
Yeah, I suppose that because people at different levels of the individual adoption, and I think, like you say, that if you're curious and you start using it, you start going, "Oh wow, I can do loads of stuff."
Yeah. I mean,
And
really exciting. Really exciting, I think.
head in the sand a little bit, and you don't know. There's a lot to learn in that first bit, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's so much you can spend a lot of time doing that. So sharing those ideas is key across the team.
I learn from other people every day. I mean, you're constantly seeing things. Oh, that really worked for me. How can I reapply it to what I do? But there's obviously there's the cultural piece around that. Not everyone feels that way, and that change management is a long-term thing, right? That doesn't happen overnight. I think we're all finding that out. But I do think that there is the biggest challenge actually for anyone, or for a team, an individual, or a business, is that upfront investment. Because I think the promise of AI is you're going to be able to save loads of time and do things more quickly. The reality is there's an upfront investment. So, when I first started kind of experimenting with AI tools, point solutions, I was looking at, I was losing an afternoon and actually getting nowhere sometimes. And actually, this is not quite working out the way I thought. And that puts people off. They're like, hang on a minute, this is not what I was promised. But once you crack two or three things that work, repeatedly, and you can rely on them, then you're generating savings, and then you can invest more time in that time you're saving, go and learn another way of doing things. And then it starts to snowball, and then you start, people then start to see the impact. But I think there is a kind of period at the beginning where you got to it's a time suck. but then you start to come through that and start to benefit. So that's at the individual level. But I think the challenge that professional services businesses are going through is a, you know, how do we turn this into a system for the business? How do we bring all of these, you know, projects that are going on around the business into a central place? And that's kind of my role now, is to kind of try and emulate what we've done in my previous team with other teams. And that really, the opportunity, I think, is to really to think about what is it about our business that is different? What is it that we need to capture and need to start to manage and nurture and use, so that we can then scale it up across either the you know, over a whole team, a whole business, or hopefully across, you know, the systems that we use to run our business. Because that I think is in the end where we're all headed to. Not professional services businesses are headed to, is that, you know, in order to be able to differentiate, stand out, be different from your competitors, you're going to have to really focus on what is it that makes you different. And it's the people in the end. It's the people's judgment, knowledge, and experience. And we're going to be selling that, I think, not just the knowledge that we've got in the business. That's going to become more of a sort of a standard, isn't it? Clients are going to want knowledge. They always will. The cost of that knowledge, that basic level of knowledge, is probably going to drop over time. But I think the cost of judgment and you know, intuition, I guess, in some way,
and stuff, isn't it? Yeah.
is going to go up. So that's I think that's the general direction things are going. And the question is how quickly is that going to happen, I think.
3 levels. So you've got individual, team, and was it organisational?
Organisation level, yeah. And that's a difficult one, more difficult one, because that is a big investment probably, and that is a big decision. Who do you partner with to help you with that? Do you do it yourself? Mixture. We're going for a mixture of both, really. I think that when people started to kind of invest in CRMs, 15 years ago, it was a very kind of, you know, it was a new thing. Is it going to work? And then there was a tipping point. Everyone started to do it. Everyone started to invest in software, and software was quite standardized, right? The companies would have to standardize the product in order to be able to scale it. And then we then had this implementation challenge. And I think if you invested in a piece of software at the beginning of that, you'd be in a really good spot now, because it would just be such a familiar part of your business. Well, I think that what's happening now is that we're building products in a different way. And I think that companies should be, this is my own view, that companies should be partnering with these AI platforms or AI developers, or the people who are kind of trying to support professional services business, are really thinking about how our businesses work. Now, they don't know it anything like as well as we do. So I think the most important, valuable thing really in all of this is knowledge of how your business works and how your teams operate and what makes you different. So my role is to kind of gather all of that and really think about it, and, you know, make sure that we're concentrating on the things that are going to help us stand out, and just go in that direction. And I think, you know, rather than thinking of AI companies as vendors, I think it's really important to think of them as partners, because they really want to partner with any use case, any sector, any type of business. You know, they want to understand the people building these tools. They want to understand the people that are going to use them, because they know that that's what's going to help them scale as well. So there's a really interesting new way of working.
Synergy, yeah, definitely. You know, you think about that in terms of, you know, going out to a specialist vendor of a particular AI product or focus. They're spending a lot of time developing that, and getting that working effectively is key. I mean, on that topic, I mean, have you experimented with any AI technologies or tools specifically that you could share, or are you thinking, oh, this is really good, or, you know, these are the areas I'm focusing on specifically?
I mean, I think I probably had a demo from most AI companies focused on real estate, and some that aren't, some that are more broader than that. So, you know, Microsoft, we're a Microsoft business, so everything is stored in Microsoft products. So we use them to operate the business. So, you know, we've been using Copilot, and we've been, you know, there are groups of people who are have been using it for different lengths of time, and that's a very broad technology, right? So that will do lots of things reasonably well. You know, definitely, once you understand how to use it, and you've done some bit of, whether it's self-paced training or, you know, someone's showing you how to use it, then you can start to see some productivity benefits, right? Which is what everyone associates with AI. But then there are different, as I said, there are different companies who we've been talking to and having demos for that will focus on particular, you know, parts of our business. So there's a tool called Writer, which was started as a marketing focused tool, which is now very much focused on the enterprise. And we've been experimenting with that. And they're the sort of organization that you would partner with. They want to understand how you're going to use it across. Say again, sorry?
What do they do specifically?
Well, they started out as a marketing tool. It's about, standardizing the way you write about your business. So not just marketing, but if you're, they started looking at sort of engineering and life sciences and medicine, because, terminology, technical documentation is really important. But they're an example of a business that is kind of trying to grow across a broad range of use cases, so they become an enterprise product. So I picked them because they're kind of a good example of a vendor that is really wants to partner with the enterprise and sell into the enterprise, like Microsoft. So they've got their own large language model. They've got some amazing proprietary technology, which I think is really exciting. It's different from the OpenAI models. They don't rely on others to do that. So that's an expensive product, but it's gonna, it will scale across a large organization. And then you've got other businesses that are focused on what I would say parts of our business. There's a business called Fifth Dimension, which is kind of
I'm familiar with those guys.
Yeah, so they're focused on kind of anyone who works with lots of leases needs to extract information, needs to understand, the research arm of your business, knowledge retrieval, working out how to sort of, find information quickly and provide it to a client in a way that they understand. They're kind of starting there, but you can see how they're growing. There are businesses focused on, our agency teams. Built AI is an organization who help to create appraisals, deal appraisals. Helps you to kind of just take a marketing prospectus, look at a deal, upload that to a platform. They'll help you build a financial appraisal. So these are all really good sort of focused. They're more focused on specific parts of our business, and we're talking to them all at the moment because we know that their models are changing quickly. Their business models are changing. Their products are changing really quickly. So it's important for us to sort of understand it, keep up with it, and work with them so they can learn about what we really need, and we can learn about what might be the right thing for us. But for me, the most important bit, and this is the bit that's the most exciting, I think, which is what a non-technical person like me can do really for the first time in the history of technologies, is build really powerful products without needing to code them or to get a development team together to build them. So what I mean by that is it's possible now to sort of build, MVPs. You can build a product that you might have gone out to a software company or you might have gone out to a vendor to buy. You can just build it. We use a platform called Cassidy, which is an automation platform, which enables you to, it's the ability to build AI-driven workflows using whether it's Claude or Gemini or the OpenAI models, and build it into an automation. So you're getting the benefits of all the prompt engineering you're doing, and you're able to actually deploy it into the business, and it syncs with our Microsoft platform. So you've got the data governance reassurance, and you're not asking people to go and learn how to use another product. You're just building support for people in the business and then deploying it to them and testing. And people are getting benefits straight away when you do that. And that's what I like about this technology. You can move really quickly. You can go from an idea to testing something, an approach really, really quickly. The challenge is, can that scale across the whole business? That's always the hard bit. And that's when
the speed of change as well. It's like you say, how you're on board with, you partner with these providers and the technology is changing so quickly and advancing so quickly that it's the new capabilities are coming out before we embedded the last lot. But that's great. I mean, funnily enough, we had Firoz from Built AI. I interviewed him last week on this topic. But there you go. So, I mean, you talked about a number of different products there. What challenges have you faced when you're embedding that AI into your process?
Yeah, I mean, it's like any new technology, really. Changing people's habits is the hardest bit, and actually giving people the right support. Everyone learns differently. Everyone behaves differently. I mean, there's lots of different. We're applying AI at lots of different parts of the business. So I've been using meeting transcription tools for a long time now. That was something I did, at really early doors, because I could see how the transcription of knowledge of discussion. So this podcast, if we were transcribing this, there's so much knowledge between the
Yeah.
two.
Oh, it will be transcribed as well, don't worry.
Yeah, well, there's so much, there's so much we're sharing here that is useful. I don't want to have us come across as, telling everyone we're super knowledgeable, but I do think that, there's obviously a lot of value in what we're talking about. It's relevant to at least the two of us anyway. And so
Yeah.
you can go, storing that knowledge and capturing it, I think is really important and it's really useful. So I've now got sort of 3 years worth of transcriptions from meetings, from, events that I've done, all sorts of things. And I can go in there and find that knowledge now. And so I think my sort of two pennies worth is that if you're doing that across the whole business, then you're starting to run the business in a different way. And so we feel like there's an opportunity for the way we run the business to look at how we can use meeting transcriptions to help share information and run our business in a different way. Now, that is a way of working which will be very new for a lot of people, the kind of people who run meetings and administrate them. They're not used to this sort of approach, and it means a different way of doing things. So the technology is obviously powerful, obviously going to have an impact. How you roll it out and how you how you get the real value from it is it's the age-old challenge, isn't it? How do you get real value from your technology? But I think that the thing that's different from software, the software we're used to going and buying, is it's not standardized. You've got so many options these days,
That's it.
and
Yeah.
you can actually build your own versions of things tailored completely to how the way you run your business. That you're seeing value quicker because you're only you can either build your own product or you understand your process so well you're only going to invest in a product is going to work. So I think that this partnership model works really well because you can it's an iterative thing. Everyone's products are changing quickly, and it's not such a. I think when we get to the point where we're pushing the buttons on enterprise-wide technology, I think it would be a less risky decision than it might be for a kind of an enterprise-wide standardized CRM product, perhaps. I think that's
Yeah.
different. You can de-risk it by doing that.
Because it can be adaptable, utilizing that AI to
Yeah,
your whatever and how you're doing things a little bit differently to the next guys.
yeah. That's true.
I mean, I think that knowledge share is really key, in terms of the opportunity to access so much knowledge that is there in your business, but is, in loads of different heads or was talked about in loads of different meetings or is on a million different spreadsheets. I suppose CRMs were doing that initially, but there's a capability. You can see a capability there that would really open up a whole world of extra knowledge in that respect. But
But just starting thinking of that as the goal, but not trying to do that all overnight is I think is important to sort of to say and for people to think about, because that's where we would love to get to, right? We'd all love an assistant, a Bidwells AI that everyone in the business can just ask questions and get accurate answers from. That's what everyone thought AI was at the beginning, I think, but that is potentially where we might end up. But there's a lot of hard work to be done for that to be a useful thing. But I think that we can work towards that. Businesses can work towards that by just picking things off, thinking about process or use
take a little bit at a time.
in a modular way, but also while you're building these modules, thinking about it as a system. And so one day these modules that either you've built yourself or you're building with a partner will come together into a system. And then, the other work that's going on alongside that is the data. So we all know the challenges that we have with data. So I think that's almost a separate thing that needs to run in the medium to long term, is how do we, knowledge management, data management is fundamental now, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. And so it's sort of like, it's been mentioned before, but on some of my other discussions, but it's sort of understanding understanding your processes and that sort of stuff, but also, then also the data shared across the industry as well is a challenge that we face. What about sort of looking into the future further? And like I don't know if you've had much in the way of thoughts about how AI could change how we operate from in a new way of doing things, or what the impact it could have that would be particularly impactful.
Well, I don't want to sound like a kind of a big tech speaker at a launch event, but it is transfer. It could be really transformational, couldn't it, for professional services business? I think for a lot of companies have been around a long time and done things in a reasonably similar way. And progression through professional services business has always kind of operated in a similar way. People know kind of where they're headed. If they work hard and they go through the ranks, then our senior partner Nick, he's been there 20 years. He started out as a surveyor. He's now senior partner. He's a project manager. Worked really hard. There was 3 people there when he arrived. There's over 70 now, and he's a success story, but he's done it in a very traditional way. Well, I think the model is going to change over time, and I think it's going to be harder for people to to rise through those ranks. And so this is a threat as well as an opportunity, I guess.
Mm.
And you've heard people talk about this before. How are people going to learn when knowledge becomes a commodity, right? When clients can get answers on things from their own AI tools, why would they then pay for us to go and find that knowledge for them, which is what junior members of professional services teams do. So those people have probably got the kind of most immediate challenge. Well, where am I going to kind of hone my skills, and what should they be? And I think they should be the things which bring real value to the business. They currently bring real value to the business, but actually, people aren't able to deliver them quite as well because they're tied up with sharing and finding and representing knowledge. It's the business development, spending time with clients to understand them. In the same way, AI vendors want to try to spend time with me to understand me. We're going to be spending a lot more time with our clients, understanding them. And I think Bidwells is a business that's always done that. We're kind of, we're very focused in the markets. We know them really well. We've worked with lots of people for decades and decades. So we've always known the importance of that. And so I think we already behave in this way. But I think it's going to become even more important for more junior members of the business as well to actually, get out into the market and talk to people. So agents do this really well, but, planners, project managers, people are going to need to really behave more like agents in a way and say, okay, you've got a problem, you've got a story, you've got a strategy, or you've got a goal. I'm going to help you come up with the best solution or the best way of reaching that goal. And I'm going to introduce you to the number of different ways you could do it, either leveraging technology, leveraging AI or data or not. And I'm going to help you put together a solution that's going to enable you to win against your competitors. I mean, that's what we're ready. But at the moment, you can compete on just giving the client as much knowledge as possible. And if they feel like if they get a lot of knowledge, then they're probably going to make the best decisions. If it's easier to get knowledge, how are you going to make your decisions? That's what we need to think about, I think, as a business, or all professional services. But what are we going to do to help them win? And it's uncharted territory, really. What is it? I think it's someone has to win. Someone has to lead. So what is it going to be? And I think it's going to be good old-fashioned real estate intuition in some ways.
Yeah, I suppose there's a lot of sort of people skills and how and empathy really are those maybe the qualities that will be more valued. Understanding your client's challenges and needs almost better than they do might be part of the service and value that you add, and you're utilizing all that knowledge that you've got, that you have access to, they also may have access to, but it's how they understand that knowledge and the challenges that they're facing might be, and then the people actual interaction is key. I mean, you touched on a point there in terms of how it's impacting some of the roles within the organization. There's a lot of fear out there on AI is going to take my job. If you're starting out in professional services or other areas of the field, is it going to impact the amount of hires that you make, and and what type of roles are what's going to happen to those roles?
Wouldn't we all like to know? Yeah, I mean, no one quite knows, do they? But I mean, I think we've moved from AI is going to take my job to AI is going to take some of my job, part of my job. It's going to displace tasks, not complete roles, I think is the way of thinking about it. I think we can already see that happening. I think that, I think in the end, it comes down to, what I just said, is how do you think about the value that you're generating? So I think hard work and spending lots of time, like lawyers spend a lot of time doing the kind of grunt work for more senior lawyers. And that's changing in law faster than it is real estate. But I think if you're a planner or you're a project manager or you need to spend a lot of time finding information for more senior people in the business, you should probably be using AI to do that more quickly so that you can go to more client meetings with them and see people in action and become more involved with the client facing stuff. And I think that's up to people in professional services business to offer the opportunities to do that, because it's in everyone's interest now for people to move more quickly through businesses and take on more responsibility. I think that, yeah, there's going to be some parts of everybody's job that's going to be displaced by a new process or one of the tools or products I was talking about earlier on, you know, that your company might buy for you to use. But as I said, we are a growth orientated business. We want to, you know, double the size of our business by 2030, and we want to do it without, you know, doubling our headcount. You know, we're
Of course,
not
yeah,
able to do
exactly.
that. We're not able to invest at that extent, but we can make some targeted investment in things which are going to give everyone the opportunity to spend an extra day a week winning new business, an extra day a week with clients, because that, I think, in the end is gonna you know, move the needle. I think that it is about helping clients see the way that markets are moving as well. What a city's going to be like in 5 years and 10 years time. So we advise on science and technology, life sciences. You know, how is that impacting cities? Well, Cambridge has changed so much in 15 years with companies like AstraZeneca, life sciences businesses relocating to the city. Same thing's happening in Oxford. You know, we all know about London. You know, the cities are changing really quick. Well, not as fast as technology, but the way we work is changing. What does that mean for real estate market? So I think the scope of advice that a real estate advisor needs to give clients, whether they're an agent or even a project manager or a planner, is going to broaden. It's not just going to be about what's the planning policy on this site, John. It's going to be,
Yeah.
okay, what is the right scheme for this site? Really, it's going to be planning advice, not just planning application submissions. It's going
And
to,
forecasting and things like that, I suppose. It's,
yeah,
you know, it's like how is the city changing? How's the use cases changing? What should we be doing to, you know, what should we be doing to looking into the future so we're a viable proposition, you know, in 10 years' time or whatever.
yeah, yeah. And we can have algorithms doing that for us, remember, as well. Planning, you know, in the
Yeah.
planning sector, I've already, you know, there's already tools I'm seeing and products, they're now products actually, I can see being used, which enable planners to just sift through 100 sites in a much, much shorter length of time and say to the client, well, I can rule out 90 of these, 10 of them look like worth looking at. That's something that might have taken a long time, can now be done really quickly. So what do we do when that's possible for everyone? That's the question. What are we going to sell? What advice are we going to give, or what value are we going to create for clients? And what are the tools the best tools that the clients should use to get to meet their goal? And so it's going to be, we're all going to need to know what's
Yeah,
going on to be able to give that advice. Understanding what's happening in technology is going to be really important for people, I think.
definitely. And that's really interesting. It's, you know, it's almost like, how are you going to utilize the AI most effectively to create that
Mm.
the biggest impact in terms of productivity and value
Mm.
to the client. And it's sort of and the challenge is really understanding it, isn't it? And how to put that process in place, because you have so much capability, and the speed and that the speed of change is so rapid. It almost feels like you know, you might have one process in place and then bed with one partner and go, oh, that works really nicely. Then, oh no, there's a new capability. Oh, that's redundant now. I need to go and do something. I need to do something different. So actually, the being able to adapt to the change and implement it effectively is is a huge challenge. And you can be a bit
Yeah.
like a kid in a sweet shop, can't you? Oh wow, there's so much to do. What do I do first?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, that's up to people like me to kind of help sift that really and point the business in the right direction, which is the really enjoyable bit for me. But I think actually clients are going through this, our clients are going through this in the same way professional services businesses are. So, you know, how are we going to run our business? How are we going to get an edge now if everyone can do, you know, pretty much the same as each other in a few years' time? How are we going to differentiate ourselves? So clients are asking us more and more now, what should we be doing about this? So the questions we're getting are more and more frequent. I think the other thing as well is that, you know how real estate moves. Everyone moves in packs. People, you know, wait to see what's going on, and there's fast followers and there's leaders. The big guys, you know,
Yeah, the
lead.
doctors and the yeah.
Yeah, they lead, and I think we're in a mixture. There's a lot of early adoption within our business, but we don't have the investment that a JLL or a Cushman's do. We haven't built our own Bidwells LLM that we can all benefit from, because we'd be bankrupt by now if we'd done that.
Yeah, yeah.
But actually, the cost of it's a lot cheaper now, so you know it's becoming something that's more doable. But I think if you're a small boutique agency, there's 10 of you, or there's 5 of you, or even 1 or 2 of you. They're the businesses now. If you'd set up a year ago and you just thought AI first about everything, you could probably compete with companies much bigger than you already. If you've got really good, knowledgeable people and you
Yeah.
can leverage that knowledge, you can deliver a lot of
Ahead of
what
the curve.
other businesses are delivering today really quickly. And so I think there's sort of everyone's either, looking up for inspiration, but actually I think, big companies, medium-sized companies should be looking down at what their competitors are doing, because it's gonna impact business models. People are gonna be able to deliver stuff more cheaply. But I think that's what I'm saying. Things will go down. Price of things will go down in some senses. But I think that knowledge, that experience, that deep knowledge of how a city or a business or a sector works, that'll become much more valuable, because that's rarer. It's always been rarer, and it will continue to be rare. So our EPs will be putting their fees up, and some of the more standardized knowledge work will be getting a bit cheaper, I think.
Excellent. Well, look, Ben, I think we better wrap it up there, but it's been a real pleasure talking to you, and I thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for saying so. Okay, cheers for the invite, Alex, and yeah, I'll see you very soon.
Fantastic. Cheers, Ben.